All right. All right. Yes. Let's get some bird sounds. Someone's outside mowing the lawn. I thought the rule was no mowing in May to help conserve water. No mowing in May. No mow May. No mow May. There's some bird sounds here. Sharpen some pencils. Burning down the house. Okay. Whoa. I'm just going to be standing up straight today. Shaking a few pencils. Not much pencil there. Check my audio as well. taking your pencil off. So I'm just sharpening up the pencils from last week that were worn down quite a bit. They are Pierre Noir 1710Bs. Some of them are short and need to be put into a pencil holder. It does make the sharpening a little bit easier as well. You're not carving up your hand. Just take off a little bit of that shoulder. If you want to know more, there's a video on the Atelier Artista YouTube channel. I'm not sure how long it is, but I think I go into every detail, even the little bit of the spin that I give. I do kind of a spiral move because I've noticed that when you're cutting straight, you can actually see here where they've glued the wood together. If you give a little bit of a twist, you're not cutting with the grain and you won't be taking out large gaps which are based like I did right there. If you go straight, that gap is based off the strip of the glue as the grain of the wood. It's glued together, so I just busted it. That happens too. So we're gonna get a new one. I like to have 3 to 5 pencils ready to go. In previous sessions, because I work right before the live stream, I often don't have time to get ready, and I go through pencils like crazy. I wish I could just spend like one day watching Netflix and sharpening every box of every pencil and then just using them for months without having to worry. However, when you sharpen them and you drop them, so I dropped 2 pencils today and broke the tips. And you'll see what I was drawing because last week I made a few corrections on the tracing, and then I transferred that drawing over today, simplified the lines and made a few repairs. Because today we're just going to do those 2 drawings and employ a trick I just made up in my head today while thinking about it for the rendering. So sometimes I do things I've never done before, and then I think, you've been drawing for a few decades and you're still coming up with new things. That's a good sign. Or I wasn't thinking logically for the last 2 decades. Things you can't learn at a regular art school is what we do here. And a lot of things you can only learn by doing them. So even though I'm trying to talk while I draw, maybe you see something that's obvious, maybe something I'm doing wrong. Habits get formed easier than good routines, actually, like bad habits. In fact, the last drawing, I saw some of my bad habits come out. When we did the tracing, I tend to make the legs thicker below the knee than they need to be, so I've kind of repaired that. My feet weren't quite in the right place and still aren't. I'm going to still draw anyways because it's not a tracing. Even though I put the drawings on top of the screen at the end just for critique, we're still going with developing my drawing and not... Why would I bother just tracing Sabin's drawing? I wouldn't learn anything from that. So that's kind of the angle I'm thinking on it. Woo! Jeez Louise, that's in there tight. Alright. This holder is actually by Derwent. Now Derwent is a company in England, and you can get this 2-pack of pencil holders. So it holds a normal pencil, and it's not designed for the Pierre Noir Conte 1710, but I can use it. And you can see that the handle is black, but the twister isn't. And the reason is, sometimes I have to sand or shave down the pencil to make it fit. It's expanding the brass here. So it's not made for this pencil, this French pencil. It's made for their English pencils. But as far as I know, Pierre Noir Contes don't have holders made for them. So I bought a bunch of these packs and I just deal with it. These holders, actually I haven't used one of these yet for Pierre Noir. Oh, these holders work okay. They're a little loose. I feel like if you stuck a little tissue paper, it would hold in there tighter. But these are also imperfect holders, available on Amazon. Let's see if this one's tighter. No, this one doesn't even fit it at all. I guess you get what you pay for. So, go back to this bad boy. I like the weight of having the pencil further out, even if I'm holding it like this. So that's why I use the holders. Presumably to keep my hands clean too, but obviously we haven't even begun drawing, they're not. Alright, where did that blade go? There. Oh my god, it's almost time. I'm not going to do the 5-minute countdown. We'll use it for spaced timing. See if anyone joins in. Since I got off social media, the viewership is down by half. Because I'm not sticking it in front of people's faces. Hey, watch me draw. Maybe too because people are feeling very disconnected to this place because I can't be open. And my auntie just called and said, "Are you able to open now?" And I said, "Only if I become a house of worship." So that's what we're going to do. We're going to become a church of creativity, which is what I've always called my studios. So maybe we'll just make it official. It wouldn't be so bad to consider art some sort of religion, that the act of creativity can have metaphors. I've never wanted to be a cult leader, but, well, maybe it just has to be done. So instead of, what would it be, catechism on a Wednesday night, if you're Catholic? Wednesday night life drawing, studying the figure and creation. You know, honestly, it doesn't sound half bad to me. It would be interesting to talk about scripture maybe. Wow. My mind is going down paths that I never thought possible. And we haven't even begun. Maybe it'll be another weird day. It is a full moon tonight, or at 5:30 a.m. and a lunar eclipse. So I'm not sure if I got to get up at 5:30 tomorrow morning or if I missed it. If anyone's listening and you want to put it down in the comments, let me know, because I'm willing to get up at 5:30 to watch the Earth's shadow on a full moon. I think I will do it. Alright, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pencils. This one needs a little... It's a good start. It's officially 6 o'clock. Being a Virgo, I like to start on time. But I also know that even though I say 6 o'clock, dealing with artists, they don't show up on time. And I do need to talk about what we're doing and how we're doing it today, because I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about, if anything at all. Rendering, I don't know, I feel like I really need a different type of focus, because we've already drawn everything in our picture. Right? We'll get back to that in a second. I'm definitely going to wash my hands, because I cleaned up the drawing and put it on a new sheet of paper using my light table. So it's more simplified than it was last week, and we'll tighten it up with the drawing today. Let's hear those sleigh bells ringling, jing, jing, jingling too. Come on, it's lovely weather for a sleigh ride together with you. I don't know why this repetitive pattern is putting Christmas songs in my head. It's a beautiful day out there. It's supposed to be a totally rainy week. And now that it's not, I need to go out of town. I've got a 4-hour car trip this weekend. Up past Edmonton in a place called Elk Island. And hopefully I'll see some elk and some buffalo. Wipe that off. Alright, I think I've got, let's sharpen a few more. It's a meditative part of the process. Getting yourself ready. You know, I meditate every day and the mind wanders and jumps around like taming the monkey, they say. Today the monkey almost fell asleep on me. But this repetitive it's like getting in the zone. I don't need to think about what I'm doing because I've done it millions of times. I'm turning the pencil as I go. I am going exactly 4 inches back and forth. I kind of tilt the point down so that I'm actually sanding more the thick part and less the tip. And I'm turning as I go. So there's a lot of micro moves going on as I prepare my pencils. But I'm not thinking about anything. And it kind of gives me a chance to collect myself before the task ahead, which is going to take a lot of focus. You know, possibly 3 hours of focus. Today I was thinking about doing things differently. Not on tomorrow timing, but splitting the body, the two bodies drawings into quadrants. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that with newsprint. I'm going to create what some call a bridge to protect my hand from smearing the drawing. And I'll draw from the top left to the bottom right so that I don't wreck what's already there. At least that's the plan. We'll listen to the birds. Maybe I'll go on a rant if people put some comments down. I'll try to look up at those. We can talk about medial vastus, lateral muscles, all the back muscles, all that. Yeah, whatever happens. Maybe you're just at home listening to the birds and my pencil. I just dropped another one. That's the third pencil I've dropped today. Look at that. That was a beautifully sharpened hard charcoal. In fact, because it's not entirely broken and there's still some wood, if I draw this direction, I can still use this pencil for a little while before I have to resharpen it. Often I'll put those pencils that break into a variety of pencil holders that I have. This Hercules one, $15.55 at Mona Lisa. It's huge and it's really, really heavy, but it can hold the broken Pierre Noirs and Cretacolor. Let me just show you what that looks like. This is a Cretacolor. Create a Cretacolor. Okay, there's none in there, but Cretacolor has a thick, oily, sanguine, and that's weird. This doesn't even fit in there. That's the Nero set. These handmade ones that I got at Swinton's, they're like $30. The most comfortable thing I've ever held drawing. But I've broken this one by putting too big of a lead in it. And then also, if you're good, you can use the Statler ones, which are the same design as this. Right? It's just like a little grabbing mechanism. So that's a way of saving money in some sense. And also, I like to just buy art supplies. So anytime I see something new, I have to have it. So get your stuff out. I'm going to give my hands a little wipe. I don't necessarily have to leave the studio. I've got the baby wipes. Because I'm not a parent, I didn't think about these until I saw them on sale, and I was like, you know what? You don't have to be a parent to buy these. These are very useful to have in your studio. Look at that, like this, dirty hands. Dirty hands, dirty mouth, dirty thoughts, the artist way. So, this has almost seen its last day. Look at the difference in color. Newsprint yellowing from the sunlight. So this is our resketched and altered drawing. If you remember, I needed to push her arm out and her chest. The drawing's right in front of me, the original one, but I traced essentially the shading patterns, and what I did was I moved the arm and the chest that I drew on mine and just shifted it over because I was about 1 centimeter out. So I drew exactly the same because everything was the right size. It was just in the wrong placement. In fact, I'll bring it down and show so that you can see the difference between a cleaned up tracing and the soft drawing. What I mean by soft is I just had flat. So you see that when I did the tracing, I knew to move it over, but I traced this arm. When I was tracing it, I slid it over. So you see right there, a little more detail on the feet, but also like it's not flat. So I was too thin here. I just moved over this over when I drew it. So I drew this, then I moved this over, and then I drew this part. So I added the distance right there. You can still see I still have the center line, stuff that's not actually in the drawing. I should probably pull those down. And the idea today, and I actually moved them a little bit closer. I moved him up a little, just because the composition looked better. I had a lot of space on this side, but not a lot of space on this side. So she's moved over, right? So I wanted to keep that amount of space equal on both sides. You see the shift there. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I drew the feet smaller. And now what we're gonna do, I'll smooth all this out. It doesn't really have to be there as much because I already drew it once. But we're gonna work in quadrants. So I'm going to just work this area, then this area, this area, and this area. And because the anatomy is already in there, the only question and what we're hoping to learn from copying Sabin's drawings are how he chooses the direction of his crosshatch and how he renders. So I'll actually get the little drawings there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this 18 by 24 newsprint into a quadrant. So fold it into 4. This is the idea that I came up with, that I was like, why have I never done this before? Okay. So I folded it into 4. Now I'm going to cut one square out. And that way I can fold it and hold it. In fact, it might be smartest to make 2 of these because I don't want to flip a piece of paper that has a bunch of charcoal or material on one side face down onto the white paper. So this is my attempt at keeping clean. As I said earlier, it's often called a bridge. I've seen these plastic plexiglass things that look like a bridge, and you put your wrist on them and it sits over the drawing. Drafters often use it. Maybe book illustrators, I'm not sure who else. In the computer world, you don't need it. People just wear those gloves. So newsprint's cheap, and it's the same size as my drawing. I like to draw 18 by 24 when drawing this type of drawing. And then we'll just cut out that quadrant. You could probably fold it and rip it against an edge, but it doesn't even have to be a perfect quadrant. It's just a place to float our hand. I'll just leave it like that. So that's the area I'm going to focus on for the first bit. Right? You can see that my hand is not smudging the drawing to the right. And I'm glad that that worked, because I was just sitting in my chair eating my lunch and I thought, what could I do to keep the paper white? There's already hand marks all over it, but we'll keep it a little bit clean here. Keep it clean in between. And I'll bring the image back because I kind of forgot about that part of the step. The printout is small, but we can see what the intention is. Right, where it's shaded, that's going to be dark tone. So we'll just stick her up here, and we'll just work this way. So, I mean, I might talk a little bit. If there's anyone out there do I gotta like do these shirt and pantless in the future, get more viewership? So I'm going to I'll refer to this. I can't work from this. I actually am looking straight ahead over the drawing board onto the big screen in front of me. So I do have more resolution than this, and I can zoom it in, which is what I'm gonna do. That was the image I put up on the screen at the end to do a comparison. Oh my god, it's floating everywhere right now. Oh, okay. And let's just see how he renders. I know that most of it is cross contour work, so uh-oh. Did I just lose you guys? Hey, Ohio. Hey-oh. Sorry, I do lose you guys when I put this image up. It seems that I don't know how to control a Macintosh. Let me try that again. No, it's putting in another window. Weird. Oh well. Okay. Let's get our Conte that we just sharpened. Where'd you go? Where'd you go, little friends? There we are. He probably used graphite, but for the purpose of demonstration and for you guys to be able to see, I gotta go quite dark. In fact, I'm gonna switch the screen and also zoom in for you. Because we're only working a little area at a time, we can afford to just look at that area. So, a little bit of camera moving behind me. Okay. And I'll try to keep this centered while I look at my screen. Oh my god. What the hell? I hope I'm still broadcasting. YouTube? What are we doing? Are we still live or what? I don't even know. Oh my god. What the hell? I guess we are! I'm watching myself in the past. That's cool. Alright. It says I'm live. It's good enough for me. YouTube? What are we doing? Wait, that's funny if you guys can hear that after the fact.
don't even know.
Basically, I don't have a YouTube window on, and I need to, which means I can't see comments, I guess. Damn it. Just messing up my whole system here. Let's draw. I'm over it. So I'll start with that arm. And I'm moving up my paper a little bit. Now my arm is more angular. Sabin is a lot more, these are construction lines, he's a lot more soft. So I'm going to try to capture every angle and fold. There's more than what I drew. Goes down to the side of the olecranon. Turns. So there's a shadow that, so I'm drawing this way. There's a shadow that goes just on the epicondyle of the bone. And there's a little lump and a tendon there. The tendon is attached to the side point and it goes very straight to the elbow. So we can see a little bit of it. So I'm just gonna slightly, I'm touching lighter, but slightly bring my lines from the dark towards the light. This is the rendering part. And if you've done, oh God, if Keith's on here, he's gonna have to hear this. If you've done the bark drawings, which I think are very, very good to do, it will teach you the why as to the reasoning behind rendering this way. How to get that tone to follow the form. So we'll do a very light there. Now this is all in the light. So right now it looks a little bit dark, but there's nothing really that white on these drawings. So there's going to be a mark nearly everywhere. It's not just white, which is light, and then the separation of the form. So that's something we need to be very mindful of. This is also how you can study more anatomy. It's good if you can have a book in front of you that relates. I don't have one in front of me, but the reasons why he did certain things become apparent the more you know. Like I'm going this direction, which shows the flexion of this muscle as it turns into the forearm. It's bent back and there's squash and stretch. This is the stretch side. This is kind of the squash side. So we have this big round, almost a teardrop shape of the muscle, which we'll get in there. Of course, you have to be able to sit and draw for a long time to see these things. So if you only do, quick sketch, or if you take a picture, like from a photo, and you draw on top of it, that's also a really good way to find this. There's a rhythm going down these muscles, and that is what is drawn here. That's how the rendering follows the direction, almost like muscle fibers in this style. So the core shadow here, or the form shadow, it's working down the form, and the darkest lights follow the form, the direction of the muscle fibers. So there'll be use of cross contours as well. So in the shadow side, rather than just going up and down like this, following that muscle form, there is that, but then I'll go across the contour as well. So we'll go with the contour first to get it darker, with the core. This area is reflected light as well, so it won't have as much on it. So we're traveling the tendon and the muscle. There's a tendon here that's kind of a house shape, slanted house shape, and it's very flat. And then we're going to go across that contour. So tracing the cylindrical nature of the arm. And that's what's going to give us that dark value. And also it kind of lies to the eyes. Ooh, that sounds good. Lies to the eyes, giving more roundness in a graphical sense. Because this value is lighter here. Or should be. And I got to erase up that edge. You see how it makes my core darker? At least that's how this particular drawing seems to be constructed. So this needs to be darker. Squint your eyes if you're looking at your resource. The goal here is to learn how this artist does it, how they describe form, because I love how their drawings look. This is all in the light here, so we don't want to have as much. I'm going to lighten it a little bit. I am using a darker drawing tool than he used. His looks like graphite. We'll see how this goes. I want it to show up better on camera. There's a tendon here stretching out underneath the arm right in here. There's another one. This is inside the armpit. It reaches up inside. Yeah, in a way this drawing kind of reminds me of doing anatomy tracings. Or if you use, maybe at the break I'll get, take some books out of my library and use them. So our darks will be darker. You can see this darker area here. Our darks will be darker. And our lights might not, our dark lights might be a little darker too. Just because I'm using this Conte. I don't want to go lifting it off every move I make just to get it to go right. Maybe we will. If you're working on toned paper, there would be less work here, and you would put a white highlight here, white on top. And he is working on, it appears in non-white paper, but we're working on white paper. You see there's a value right there, if that's in your screen at all. Welcome to... How do I get back to this, YouTube? Am I going live right now? I don't know. Hope I didn't lose y'all. Hey, I got back. Oh, no, it says I didn't. All right, we'll just keep going. I don't know what's happening on that stream. I need your help. Okay, let's we'll stop at this tendon and we'll go more to the right for now. Actually, maybe I'll just take it all the way down to the shadow. I gotta smooth and soften my lines a little bit more. When I drew the construction lines are far more angular. So now's my chance to round out the shapes, almost making them a little more comical. I'm going to use something that isn't a pencil, if I can find it. This is a pencil eraser. I'll just draw with it beside my line. I don't want that line too soft. I like it to have an edge. And when you're rendering, you'll see that your point dulls quickly, especially with a soft material such as this. Tendon meets up here at the pec, and also here is a cast shadow. The cast shadow that goes down around the pec. There's a stretching of the muscle right there. There are two parts to the pec, the upper and lower part, and they both attach to the humerus, the arm bone there. So I'm just going to cross contour this. I'm wondering too if this could have been done from photo, or you know, as a stage drawing, and maybe because his drawings look academic, they don't look like you know, one sitting from life drawings. They look like there's quite a bit more process involved in creating them. So this cast shadow, it might look like it's the same value, but there is a description within the dark values of the forms that make up these shapes. Down here is a lot darker. And I can do that by crisscrossing my pattern. All right, fun stuff, fun stuff. Just keeping this from getting dirty. I'm just going to use a sharper device to tighten up that line. I didn't sharpen any of these. The Wolf's Carbon is great for this part. It makes a good friend to the Pierre Noir, actually. They're quite a good pair together. Graphite would not work. It would make it shiny. This is a 2B. Sometimes I use a 4 and 6. But it picks up the material that's already there and moves it, but with a smaller, and it's harder, being a 2B, so less material comes off with it. But it's also that black that we like, especially for live streams. It looks better. Ooh. Okay. I feel like I'm in a half sleep state, in a good way. Just rendering. I guess I should move a little bit faster though, since a quarter of the time I need to get a lot more covered. It'll take less time to do the legs. So let's get this mouth going. I'm going to start at the top lip, and although it's not black in the reference material, it's one of the darkest places. So I'm going to do it almost black. There's a reflection from the bottom lip onto the bottom of the top lip. So it's darker at the top, it's like drawing a little seagull. And then there's a shadow up the philtrum. And we can kind of see the nostril. Tip of the nose, which it's like a little M. Just shade that in. And it's creating a cast shadow. You don't have to start there. I just wanted to go right there, right now. Show a little bit of the fold. The nasal labial fold as well. Just slightly. It's quite light right there. Down to the sides of the mouth. In fact, I'm going to lighten this area. Because when I did my initial plan in shading, I didn't draw it so direct. This Wolf's Carbon is the answer. It's much better than the Conte right now, which is just crumbling. Although it might be nice for these eyebrows. Vertical lines kind of give the indication of the direction of the hair. Cast shadow. Let's see, straight down the nose. Eye fold. My eyes aren't even around that I've drawn. But they're not the darkest part. So even though like pupils are black, or they're a hole into your head, they're not drawn that way. The shadow or the eyelashes are along that ridge line. And then I'm just pulling the direction of the lid. I like to treat the lid like an awning to kind of show those directions. And in a way, this drawing does that same thing. So the bottom of the eye is kind of, because it's an eyeball rounded, it has a value on it. It's not white. If you do it white, it will flatten out. So don't fall for that mistake. This rounded mound, I'm drawing in that C shape to show that it's got that mass. So I'll pull it down like this too on this side. Under there's a strip of almost white. It's the lid catching the light. A lot of people, when they draw eyes, they forget some of these parts. So this is a good lesson in seeing them. There's like a slight shadow on the bridge of the nose. In fact, I can emphasize that. The roundness of the nose. And also go with the roundness under the eye. So I'm drawing like the letter C. I'm not drawing straight lines here. There's a little flick of the wrist. Same as here. Going like that. Following that contour a little bit. So going this way down the side of the face. It's like I'm feeling the planes and shapes as I draw. So that means I gotta turn my wrist, turn my device to match what's happening. So yeah, it takes a lot longer than just doing the flat kind of shading that we do when we first draw. Shadow inside the ear. It's quite dark. It looks like black, but there's actually folds. You can see the tarsus here, or sorry, tragus, I was thinking about other bones for a second there. Under the lobial shadow, and then it's not white, so we put some material on there. This might be a little easier to see in person, but hopefully for your sake you're just listening to my voice, taking you to far off places like the ocean. Just the sea breeze of voice. Relax and draw. Make some happy little mistakes. Alright, there you go. So that's based off the time, that's how far I'll render everything in this drawing, I think. I might go back once I see what the rest of the balance looks like. We're doing okay for time, so we'll draw some shadow under this stretched pec. And show some folds. So we're going with the direction, not with the muscle fibers go this way. So I'm going to show the shape's contour. And a little bit on the outer edge as the form is turning. Same as under the ear. That could be hair or shadow. Pull up from the armpit towards those folds. So these look dark, but they are the darkest lights. And I'm doing right here, there is a chance that I do have to lift some value out of that later with the kneadable eraser. Might not be, but it might be highly probable that I have to do that. Draw the chin. She's got a little bit of a bum shape in the chin. It's not completely flat, and it's catching light. So above it is where the contoured shadow shape actually is. So I better get up to her bottom lip too, because that shape blends into the other. So shadow from the bottom of the lip to the chin fold, and then the chin fold, there's two mounds here, and it goes from dark to light as it comes down the face. So not everything is the same value. I think I did two values in my drawing. The original. Now we're getting picky. So a little shadow shape underneath that lip on the right side, showing the roundness of that lip. That little divot there, coming from the top lip onto the bottom lip. I'm not going to add any material there. It's reflected light, reflecting up from the shoulder. Reflecting, so it's got to be quite light, but still have some material on it. How's that? Boring or what? Okay. Now this bottom of her chin and face is in shadow. Right? Right there is in shadow. So I can add a little bit more material to it. And to make it look like a light dark, we don't draw as much on it, but we put the value beside it darker. So I'll just darken it up right there. And that will make this look brighter. The word reflected light, although, you know, we understand it, it's a terrible name. Reflected light. It's what it's doing, but it's in the darks. And so it's kind of like saying the white of the eyes. I say sclera because that's the medical term, and it makes it my brain not want it to be white. But if you call it the whites of the eyes, your brain is overriding the visual perception, making a rule, a literal rule, that it's white. And that's going to get you into lots of traps. It won't help you grow in the future. Which in part is also why it's great to learn anatomy and learn the parts. Nasolabial fold, the smile lines, as it were. Some structure here. The difference between the top lip and that fold. He's describing it as a plane. So if you have a sorrow head, those are good planes to learn. So we'll bring that shadow up. And my brow line from the original planning is no good here. Although she looks very feminine, and he's still actually put in the folds of her brow. I would suggest that normally makes someone look old. Just use my finger to get that value over. That's working here. I always say that lines are bad. If you cross the lines when you're driving on the street, you'll get in a car accident. Lines of cocaine will get you arrested. Lines in your face make you look old. You know. So as a general rule, we try. Lines flatten things as well. So I sort of say that lines are bad. They're not. They're a tool. These are little lines. But we need to know why and how we're employing them for our purposes. If my roommate comes on, he's going to be very upset that I'm not being funny. You take it so serious. I am taking this very serious. In a meditative way. I feel very calm. You can probably hear it in my voice. Just doing the job. The classical drawing, you know, some of those that I did were like 20 hours. You really get a sense of what it is to be a professional artist. You know? Because you're pushing yourself so far past the point of like you thought you were done. Like, oh, I'm done. You're done mentally. You're done because you're at the end of how far you can go. You want to pass that baton on to the next runner. But no one who ran a marathon, they don't give up, you know? And this isn't hard work. It's not like digging a ditch. And yet, I would say that most artists never push themselves even like half as far enough. Like say I spent an hour and a half just doing that, or a 3-hour session, you know, it would definitely be a whole different level. This is still a light study, but Sabin's work is to the masterful level, you know. This isn't a quick drawing by any stretch of time. Like, he spent a long time making it nice. And the better you get, the faster you get. Mine is a more of an approximation. I'm using the direction of his lines. If I was to do a real study of this, I would probably draw it much bigger, but I would also use graphite and just like take the time like this. Much thinner lines. I mean, you probably can't even see that. it would not show up very well on a live stream. But this almost feels a little bit like using a crayon over a pencil mark. Tendon there. The edge of the sternocleidomastoid as it's pressed down, and you can also see it coming down on this other side. So because I can see it, I'm going like full black. It also translates better for you guys. I don't know too if you're on your screen, if you've got it at like 1020 or 480 or whatever, that can really make for a different experience. I am using a DSLR camera, so it's fairly high resolution. What I see looks different than I think what you guys see as well. I'm on like a 50-foot screen, or 50-inch. Whoa, 50 feet. That would be a dream. I got rid of Netflix a year and like 5 months ago. Good decision. I'm getting a lot more work done. I used to play stuff while I drew and just kind of listen to it. There's absolutely nothing good on there. As well, so that's another reason. You know what I mean if you have it. It sucks. But if I want to get drawing done, it's better if I put on something in my field. A live stream like this, you know? I used to love Sister Wendy. I mean, I probably still do. Sister Wendy had this PBS show. This is a little nun, obviously, sister. Not like, yo, sister! And Sister Wendy was this buck-toothed nun, and she would just like, it was almost pornographic. The way she talked about art and like Jesus's feminine body on the cross, like very, very entertaining. It's kind of like we watch or listen to David Attenborough to hear about the animals, but she did that about art. And I used to take the DVD out of the library all the time because Sister Wendy, I don't know if you'll find it on YouTube or anything. Maybe. It was PBS, so the libraries have all that stuff. Maybe you can watch it on Canopy, I don't know. Okay, I'm getting a little basket weaving here, which is not good. Meaning those little white spots. So I need to just, I'm turning, this is dull now, but I'm turning it to get it in the little holes. Oh my god. Okay, over to the neck pit. Right here. We can make that dark. And I'll just go up there. I want to soften a little bit. Soften it and give this pencil a wee sand. When you're rendering, you got to keep the tip super pointy all the time. So it's not like when you're drawing and you have 5 pencils and you can just switch between them. Mechanical pencils are my favorite thing to draw with. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this was drawn in a mechanical pencil. I should probably read up on them. Alright, moving on down. So I thought for sure I could get both of these done. I'm starting to question whether I can only do one this session. Just looking at the time. I always think I can do something so much faster than I actually can. There's a crime in that, I'm sure. Actually, when I paint, for some reason, I can do it in less time than I should. But when I do this type of drawing, maybe it's the perfectionism that comes out. I just start to move real slow. Uh-oh. Ringmaster. I'm back! Okay, we're doing it! This looks good, right? Ophelia Odyssey retracted a message. That causes major curiosity in me. Major curiosity. Alright, let's get this other arm, which is more in the light. And so we will see a bigger jump in contrast and less kind of trying to fine rounding of the form. So in a sense, this should be easier, this arm. So just follow that the fatness of that muscle. And maybe I'll curve it more. Mine were quite straight. And I'm just going to pull the same direction, describing the cylindrical nature. So the bottom of the forearm is more cylindrical, and as it moves up, it gets more rectilinear. So it gets more straight line and then more curved line. So I'm going to go quite straight here, and I'm going past, by feathering it out, past the contour there. And so that feathering becomes the turning of the form of the darkest light. And I really sharpened this pencil good, so I'm getting the type of feathering that I love, which is good. And then I'll just go with the direction at the top, but then feather it out down, because there is reflected light right there. I guess I can erase a little bit of it out. Now here I'm going to curve the line a little more. It's going to be a little more C-shaped, so that the line itself, so it curves this way. I'll draw it big for you. And it curves this way. Right? Because we're in the middle of the form. That's kind of how you would draw. Like, I know it's going this way, but it depends where you are looking at the view. So I'm just going to pull my lines up and around this form. So when you're doing this, there's a thought process going on. I have to plan out my direction. You don't want all your lines going the same way. That's boring. Once again, back to my point about the lines. Makes sense now. I think I know what the retraction was. Haha. Related to. The mystery is in my head. Alright. Here we go. Face to face. A couple of silver spoons. Speaking of which, where's Greg today on the live stream? Mr. Silver Spoons. I call my neighbor Greg Ricky Schroeder sometimes. His dad did well in the stock market. He keeps telling me that I should buy a house, but I don't have any familial help. Everything I do and own, I do alone. So he's off buying his third or fourth house. I still don't have one. Everyone I know who got a house got it because of a family member. Like someone passed away, or in his case, his grandma was my neighbor. He got the house. It's the oldest house in the neighborhood, I believe, too. Soften that. I cheated. It's better not to blend though, guys. And now I'm mad that I did it. I'm upset at myself. Turn up the forearm a little higher. It's like feathering. I almost have to resharpen this pencil already. Alright, let's emphasize the roundness of this bicep muscle. When I think of muscles, I think of the bicep. I think about how, you know, it's this shape. And then how my shadows and my lines follow that widening and that tightening around the edge. Of course, all the muscles aren't like that. Many of them are teardrop shaped. We'll see that more in the leg. He's describing that muscle as how it transforms to the tendon. Actually, he does it about there. I just put it in the wrong place. You see that line maybe? I don't know if you can see on the screen. Oops. It's interesting how these leading lines direct the eye. I'm also squinting my eyes to make sure that I'm getting some of the value shifts correct. Is that tendon at the back represented here? Very hard edge and a dark value. It's like compressing the information. And I think it's good to draw hard things with hard lines. So this soft curving line is a little lighter. It's got that nice soft curve to it. But once I get to the elbow, it's angular and hard. So I use the very tip of the pencil. In part, my reasoning, here's the tendon too, the colloquialism of it, an elbow being hard. And so in my language of drawing, I also want to make that part of the drawing hard and angular. It's like you've got straight, darker, harder edge, soft, curved, back to hard and angular, and there's a rhythm of straight and curved, straight and curved, straight and curved, hard and more soft. It goes from hard to soft. And these rhythms are what make it interesting. If everything was drawn with the same line, like it would look like a cartoon, which is fine. There's a, you know, it's the aesthetic though of hard, soft, curved, straight. It creates visual interest for the eye. If everything's equal weight, it's boring. Yeah, I have to sharpen this again. It's funny because I've done this forever and I should know better. But every time I do it, it's like, oh yeah, there's that too. So part of this live stream is picking up my reminding myself for posterity's sake of all the things I constantly forget. You don't make notes when you're drawing usually, unless you're in a class. And then I'm always like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what I learned by doing, but I forgot to say. So this is that deltoid. And I'm not sure if it's a mistake or if it's a cast shadow. I'm going to guess it's a cast shadow on the deltoid. But we see the two ridges there. Turning up. Oh, let me check your screen, guys. Damn you, Mac. To be, not to be. Oh my god. Yes. You're after my own heart. I love the dad jokes. To be or not to be. My stepmom always says, simple things for simple minds. So I guess I have a very simple mind. Not necessarily a bad thing. She's looking good. Let's, oh, come on, Bunny. I need to learn how to use this computer. It's like if you swipe too far to the left, the YouTube turns to the YouTube channel, not to the live stream, and then I lose. Yeah, whatever. Let's see if it works. Get me back. It looks so much better on my screen than the stream screen. Scream. Connecting software. Excellent condition. Well, what the hell? Okay. I hope I didn't drop you guys. I hope, you know, it might be time to invest in a second computer. One for streaming and one for looking at my images. Alright. I'm happy with how this is looking so far. My happiness, though, is not due to myself. We must always remember that this is a copy of Sabin Howard, who made the original piece of art, and that's why it's so beautiful. If I was to draw a girl in this position right now, it wouldn't be this good. And I wouldn't have time to render it. I want to pay respect where it's due for his years of experience and mastery. I have yet to attain that. That's why we're learning, right? So who knows? If he had a channel, I would say go over to his, but I'm sure right now he's sculpting his World War II monument. Sometimes he goes live on Instagram and you can see the models and the sculpting. It's so cool. Like traditional, the old school way of doing it. I think he's been on it for 3 or 4 years. It's gonna be amazing. If I had a little more money and time, I would probably also take one of those courses I mentioned last time. Because, you know, you gotta learn from someone who knows what they're doing. And you get to a certain point where it actually, well, here it's hard because we've got so many good drawers and none of them can come here right now. So whether it's Jeff or Keith or Luke, people who actually draw all the time, know the lessons I'm talking about, and can recall them, but their eyes are trained to, well, if their mouths are also trained, they can tell you what you're doing wrong. It's not exactly easy. It's not also in everyone's nature who's good at art to talk about it. A lot of artists, myself included, like I never even know what my art's about till someone writes about it and they're like, oh, this is what you're doing. And I'm like, oh, is that what I'm doing? Or is that what I'm supposed to say I'm doing? I cannot write an artist statement for the life of me. If you're reading one, that's because I've paid someone to make it. It's all also, you know, it's good to not, that's why it's in the third voice or third person voice, because it's not me writing it or saying it. So and an artist statement should be, Bunny is like this or Brian is like this. It should not be like, I am seeking enlightenment through images. I think it sounds arrogant. But that is, in fact, when you're writing an artist statement, you're supposed to be talking about your work. But it's nice if someone else does it, because they can have a conversation with you. Some people are good writers. I don't get grants because I don't do art speak. And that's, I'm sure it's a skill I can learn, but to my misfortune, I have not. So if you're out there and you want to write me something, feel free. Can't pay you. I wouldn't mind if this is all I did today. Just draw her. Not even get to the guy. Part of me wishes that I could have something to keep up my social media accounts already in the bag, so I didn't have to worry about it. I'm not going on there, so I could have just all sorts of spewing hate I'm not even aware of. I'm missing out. But oh god, I hope my head's not in the way. I gotta get close here to see what I'm doing. Turning the bicep form, turning the bicep, curling that line a little bit more. Show the roundness. Hopefully that's enough. I love doing this though. I used to keep a lot of sketchbooks. I found that at the Atelier we draw the nice big size, which I definitely prefer. It's like using your whole arm. But since opening up this place, my sketchbooking has essentially disappeared. And that's also in part to doing client work and sketching, and anything that I'm planning now, I tend to use reference or Photoshop. And so it really has caused my physical drawing and sketchbook to dry up like a desert. I do still take sketchbooks when I travel to draw and take notes when abroad. It's a lot easier to go to the Louvre and take a sketchbook. But also nowadays it's like, just take your iPhone, you know? People just snap shots so easy now. I'm sure I don't see it, but I'm sure there's going to be a value along this bicep. So I'm going to go the direction of the muscle fibers that I know are there. I could be out to lunch, but I don't see it here. It doesn't feel right without it. I am sorry if that sounds like I'm improving upon the drawing. I'm not. It just feels like there's something missing. All right, let's move on down. So, okay, that was about an hour of time. So I'm gonna guess 40 minutes, and then the legs. The legs have a lot less going on, so they'll be quicker. But I need to sharpen the pencil again. And what's cool about this pencil is I bought a sharpener that does a long sharpen. So I don't have to use the knife. This is much quicker. Mr. T. Springall alerted me to this device. Oh, it says it's blinking, so maybe there's not enough power. So look, I even put the Atelier name on this bad boy. It was like $103, but it's good for this purpose. Yeah, and it's battery powered, so you've got this long setting right here. Uh-oh. Maybe it's dead. Oh, battery's probably dead. It's worth it because the students can use it. Oh. I don't think it was plugged in. Well, I was going to talk about how great that is, but there's no power in it. So I have to use the old-fashioned way. Okay. Are we still going? Excellent condition. Yes. OBS? Are you shut down? No. Okay. I stepped away and it froze. But it's back now. All right, so across the sternum, the chest plate area, we will venture. What the hell? Okay. So from that center line, seeing the separation of the ribs, because she's stretched out. Very lean people. You can see this. That actually might even be myself. I think when I stretch my arms up, I can see my ribs still too. I don't know how much lack of pec or muscles you need, but we're gonna draw those shapes in. He does them very sketchy here, very lightly. So we're emulating that look right now. All right. There is this oval shape of the light catching the collarbone, and then this muscle coming down. See, I'm trying not to put my hand on the drawing as well. So after learning to do a drawing like this, my idea is that we find an image or pick a pose and we draw it in that style of. So you take a few weeks to learn the hand, and then you adapt it to your own work. The other interesting thing might be to put a tracing over top of it and to actually draw out where the muscles go. And I'm up for either thing for this channel, if you want to see that. It's a practice time for me, but because I am grateful for you tuning in, so even though I'm talking to myself, it doesn't feel as lonely. Until we can open back up, a lot of people ask me if the restrictions lifted allow me to open, and unfortunately, no. Unless I turn into a house of worship, like I said, would be a good idea. I'm under a different kind of constraint as well. Like malls and stuff, when it's based off occupancy rates by the rules of the old fire marshal, I am on the 4th floor of this building. And we only have one elevator. And when the elevator shuts down, 4th floor access has a lot less maneuverability of numbers to get down the flight of stairs. And so if I'm at 10% of my capacity, I can have 2.5 people, including myself, which means me, the model, and Scout. Unless Scout isn't here and isn't going to perish in the fire. So that's where that limitation is kind of works against me. When I originally signed the lease to be at C-Space, I was supposed to be on the 2nd floor, and I did not know at that time that that was going to severely limit how many people I'd be allowed in the room. Because quite frankly, this used to be a classroom, and I should be able to have 30 people in here. But it has more to do with the escape from fire than it has to do with the reality of what a square, 1,000 square feet can actually hold. Unfortunately. So the breast, as it's turning, I'm going to change the angle of my line. This will give the impression of like a dollar bill roundness. So I'm going not across the form, but it's like the feathering leads the eyes around it. And for the cast shadow, I'm just going to go vertical, but I'll feather out into that core. That way I can get a darker value as I go. And then I'll draw across the contour. So there's like a little overlap from the darks into the lights. And then to make this dark bit at the bottom seem brighter, because it's got reflected light, or the lightest dark, I'll darken that changing of the form right there. And that makes that look brighter. I didn't make this stuff up, I'm just reporting what's going on. Right? We're learning. Make sure your hand doesn't rub or you'll dirty up the paper. So I'm getting a little bit there, but I clean it up as I go. Just want to make sure I'm still in the image for you guys. Okay. Light touch. Light little flick of the wrist. If you ever sit beside Jeff in a drawing situation, you'll just hear. You can look over his shoulder and copy what he's doing. It's a beautiful sound that he makes when he works. So I can see where I'm building up a little bit more volume of line and value. And if I'm going this direction, I turn the pencil a little bit with each pass so that they crisscross a little bit more than just always going the same direction, so I don't get a groove in my paper. Just keep drawing the same direction, right? Alright, so I can actually darken all of this even more. Along the edge, let's emphasize that line, and same as the cast shadow. The cast is a lot more angular, and it gets soft as it falls away from the body, so it's hard edged here and firm edged here. I know there's a joke in that somewhere. And we'll just do a little crisscross here. So I let it feather out more here. I'm lifting the pencil closer to me and away from the paper. I mean, this minutia, I mean, it looks like I'm just drawing, but there's like lifting and aiming the point a little bit more. You'll see it when you're in front of it. I really doubt it's seeable on this live stream. Ooh, gum. I mean, we're almost halfway, time-wise. I'm still not halfway through her. I might be here all night, guys. Do what you gotta do. Very relaxed. Nice and pointy. This will get me down to here, and then I'll have to resharpen. And I'm getting dirty again. Hey, speaking of it, of which, I got these cool coins in the mail. It says yes on one side. It's got the sun and the moon. Right, go this way. And no on the other side is upside down, has this devil with wings, or this. So when I need to make a decision, I can just flip that. And also from the same coin collector place, I got this coin that has a sexy lady, but it's a replica coin of Leonardo da Vinci. This would have been in silver. This is not silver. It says AG 0.9991 ounce. It was fake. This is a fake. But I wanted a Leonardo da Vinci coin, 1452 to 1519. So those are the years of his birth. This isn't the real deal. These are just fun coins. It's halfway, so I need a mental break. I'm gonna also wash my hands. So we're gonna just take 5. And because I haven't played one of my animated outros yet, I should say motion graphics, because it's not as animated as like a cartoon. But I'm gonna take one. So you pee and get water and do all the things you need to do. And I'll see you back here in 5. All right, so I got my, sorry, I'm stuffing my face with I love Cheeto snack. I got my pencil resharpened. Wolf carbon to be or not to be. My hands are washed after going to the bathroom. The sink was filled with black. So now, oh yeah, happiness right there. Let's keep moving. The rectus abdominis has attachments point and two on each rib. So you see this shadow and attachment and shadow. Maybe I have to zoom out a little bit. And then it runs flat down the front. And we can see it's pulled tight, but we can see the striations within the muscle. And then that shadow traveling past each kind of six-pack like bulge. Okay, actually, and we should pull a couple of these lines. I'm looking at this one right now. This is, I'm going from the bottom of the B up. I'm not monetized anyways. I don't know why I'm being careful. I just hate when they stop my stream because of anatomical words I say. One of my best ones was a Michelangelo study, and I said the P word a few times. Whoops. I didn't know how picky they were, but I appealed it, and basically they flipped me the bird. They don't have to do anything, right? They hold the power. But I'm willing to bet if there was any non-artistic child out there, this is the last channel they'd be watching. They could just watch a music video. It's way more challenging in terms of community standards than anything I would do or say on here. Curling around the lat a little bit towards the center of the chest, treating the bigger form is what's important, more important than the smaller form. I like putting the shading out on the outside like this and daggering it in, and then if you go over, you clean it up as you go. But it looks really cool coming in, and you should never have high contrast or a flat value along the edge. Like here, I'm describing the difference graphically between the arm, the arm, and so that's high contrast and flat. But if you look all the way around, you're turning the form, right? So some of it you can describe, and that's a lot of problem with a contour, is it flattens it out. Back to what I said about the lines. Wait. Sorry, I got a little lost there. Funny. I distracted myself. Anyways, we're drawing. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, not turning this into a instructional purpose every time, but I hope you get what I mean. Why coming in rounds the form, and I think it looks cool. It might even be like how tattoo designers kind of think about drawing around the body shape too, and how they do their shading. That just comes to mind. That's all. This is graphical. Wolf's Carbon 2B, sharpened in my cool sharpener, and feathering some lines. Feather up towards from the dark, because you pick up some of the dark material into the light. I would never say to do this when you're painting, because you don't want to mix your darks and lights in that way. Especially if you're doing a warm cool thing, you'll lose it rather quickly. So the sternum kind of catches the light there. It's a plane aimed up towards the light. The fat of this object and gravity is kind of coming down. So we want to emulate that turning of that form. The value on the chest up to the dip in the clavicle. It's probably good that I can talk through this. Often you see this here too, because this area from the shirt line being lower, we do get more light on the chest area. So the turning of the form, this is the light coming around. Draw some of that bony material there. You can see the ribs. Actually, I think that would be a little bit lower. Stretching out. The interweaving of the serratus is described in this drawing, which is pretty cool. It's one of my favorite things to draw. It's not easy, so maybe that's why I like it. It separates the mice from the men's. It's like a that woven pattern right there. right there. So when rendering too, you'll notice that I actually do hold my pencil in the tripod grip. You know, I'm doing this type of drawing, which is why I'm putting the paper down. All the introductory type of drawing, I'm holding the pencil and using my whole arm to get my shapes, but I find that when I'm rendering, I go back to writing basics, I guess. The Épinay has a darker value and a shadow. Did you like the Igpay Atelier for that? Am I talking to my audience here or what? Do you guys Igpay Atelier Elway? Ikazbe I Ude Igpay Atelier Elway. Oh my god. I haven't had to use that since like grade 5. And don't get suspended from school for using it, kids. Because the teacher can speak it. I was a little bit of a problem. So we got a little bit of shadow here between the esprits, and that's the end of your sternum. Some people have that going in. We have a model here that has one of those inverted sternums. Actually, I kind of forgot up here at the manubrium. Whoopsies. There we go. And the clavicle. Okay. Anyhow. It's easy to get sidetracked with this stuff and jump around, but I'm just trying to be systematic. Yes, he really describes the forms beneath the shadow shapes. I mean, not surprised. Sabin is a sculptor, and he knows it so well. Down here, the treatment is a lot looser. It kind of reminds me of growing up drawing Marvel characters. Maybe he's like, you know what? You're halfway through the podcast or whatever, like, oh, you better get moving. So that's kind of fun. I'm moving a little quicker now too. But it seems like the drawing has that illusion. There's the belly button. Pure black. one of the darkest values on this whole thing. So I'm going to scrub in a little bit, draw for a little bit more. So showing the reflected light there. And some straight down dagger. Following the form around the belly, kind of daggering. It has to be dark there, so it's going to need some material. So just using crosshatch to build it up. There is a method to the madness. You can look at the directions he's going. Whoa, I hear people outside the studio. There's never anyone in this building. Okay, we'll just go down to there. So this is the iliac crest. And it doesn't describe it, but we got this curvature of the sartorius we're going to follow, going across from near the lateral side to the medial side. So there'll be some exciting things coming quickly here. Let's bring some more value up. So there's kind of a stretch factor here in the thoracic arch. Up to those folds of the serratus. Which would not surprise me if what drew him to this pose was actually right here. Would not surprise me at all. That's one of the exciting parts that I'm seeing in it. It's a little bit unassuming. But if there's an area you want to study subtlety in, this might be it. Now, I've done twice as many lines here than he has. and a little too dark. That is getting carried away, you know? You do? You do know? Good. I'm glad. Don't do what I did. Or do it. It might look good in the end. We'll see. I'm squinting my eye and I need to lighten that part. Lighten this part. That part's okay. Lighten that part a little bit. Lighten that part a little bit. That's better. I could just be getting blind off my drawing, you know? You're sitting at something a little long and you start to lose focus. It's happening. It's happening right now. I'm thinking about that keto snack, how good that was. I haven't really seen a good book on like comic shading. But I feel like down here it reminds me of like Vampirella shading or something. Or the best shading might be on Silver Surfer. Because he's reflective. It really shows you the forms. So, you know, those guys, I mean, you could eventually work without reference. But at first you would need it for sure. All right, so I'm moving down. Let me just check your camera view here. Make sure I'm not losing anything. Yeah, okay, that's better. Slow and steady wins the race. So the ASIS, the anterior superior iliac spine, is this marking down here. We have the sartorius going across. Down in the dark, that scooping shape before the pubic bone is the psoas, right? We want to, even though it's in the dark, we want to be able to describe seeing these things as we go. Let me just get down there. This part of the muscle from the six-pack downward, I often refer to as the English 40, because it looks like a bottle upside down. Pull some more shade up. Pull some more shade up. give some more definition to the muscles in the front here. Okay, this isn't in full light, so we'll give it some value. I think I already have to resharpen this thing. So let's go for the shape to the pubic region, folding of the leg, the adductor longus, the sartorius, right? All these dark areas, so that we can just shade all of this in, right? The so as to the oh, they don't want me to say the Y word. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna pull all this shadow area in a 45-degree angle at first, because we need it dark. We will add more dark beside, and no value further where reflected light is. And then darken here. So to darken, I gotta switch the angle a little bit. Or you can just keep going the same angle and press a little bit harder. Depends to your paper. This paper is fairly smooth. It's not as smooth as smooth newsprint, but so coming from the edge of the form, just like I did here. Let me zoom out a little bit. We're moving on down. Let me just make sure I'm not cutting you guys off. Actually, the position is good for you. Okay. So from that dark edge, the cast shadow showing the roundness of the thigh. And it's okay to draw that as a line, not a super thick line. And you can break it up, have it be thicker and thinner to create visual interest. I'll just turn my cross-hatchy line like that. And to the outside, it's a little bit brighter. That will work for now. Might just have to darken this ridge. And here. Okay, good enough for our purposes right now. Okay, we still got an hour. I'm good. I'm good. I was getting worried. We might come back and revisit some of these shapes. Let's do some, there's some interesting stuff that happens down the leg. So let's, just still looking at it. Just give me a second here. Darken the center line, I think, around the belly button. Show some folds of the muscles. All right. Because I don't need to flip and hide that corner, because I'm not gonna be able to work the other side in this sitting. I could if I want to stay here all night, but you know what? I don't think it's necessary. We have time, as far as we know, to do our guy. And because I spent so much time up here describing all those minutia, I'm willing to bet there's a lot we can learn and pick up from this maestro on his back. So why cheat ourselves, right? We'll make it nice. It's darkening some other areas. I might have to go back and intensify the darks again. Here. You know, I don't like little lines. When there's too much separation between them, I see it like little spots. And when I was doing the bark drawings, they got us to like tap the tip like little dots, like a mezzotint, to get rid of those things. Because when you draw it, you're actually darkening and creating a bigger ridge. So you almost do like dots in like an X and Y pattern. It's like a disruptive patterning that makes it look more naturalistic and gets rid of your basket weaving. So we could employ that here. I find some areas I can darken. You know, now that I see them all together. So let's scan our way down some more. Another retracted message. What? You know I'm a curious kitty. You can't do this to me. All right. Down, down, down we go. And I'm switching back to this tiny little really sharp pencil because this one is blunt. Might not be able to see that, but I was avoiding this one because it's a little bit dirty. These are the things I'm thinking. I'll just wipe it off. That's how much would have come off onto my hand and thus onto my drawing later. This is really stiff. Oh, this is from the painting session. We'll do those again too. We'll do them again too. All right. Back to the legs here. And the Y-O-N-I. I know that's not a medical term, but I like it. I think it's kind of cute. Cute and mystical. So curling across the leg form, going with the directional forms. This is the aces popping that sucker out again. There's three values there. The dark, light, dark, and then the light itself. Just feathered out, which is the darkest light. And then essentially no value. Travel this way, down. The side plane, which is going towards your great trochanter, there's a fold between the gluteus medius and the tensor fasciae latae. Not the drink. I have signed up for a Latin course because I'm probably pronouncing all of this stuff wrong. I've read it in books. But not really heard much of it being said. I don't watch CSI Miami. So I don't know if I'm doing correct doctor pronunciation. Nor do I actually care. I just don't want to be laughed at. There's a few of them that I'm like, I have no idea how that word is said. like Olecranon or Olecranon. I've heard both. It's probably like fashion. Like, oh, you say it this way because you're from New York, you know? Or from, you know, whichever art teacher you learned it from. I could be sending all my students down the wrong path. I guess that's reason to care. Dark feathering. The fall of light, the legs are always lower than the body, and the body is mostly a wedge shape, and so not only that, but it's further down, so you don't get as much light on these forms. You know, up here it's collecting more light. It's also aimed towards it. Here, not so much, and so we don't get as much white light. And so you can really pull long dagger strokes on the lower forms because that's such a wide plane too. It's also a lot softer, so that transition is a lot longer throughout. So longer strokes than these little tiny ones we were doing up here, you know? Should maybe lighten that a little bit. So I'm going to follow the direction of the leg. This should probably be more rounded too. So more of the tip of the pencil. My original drawing is quite square. So this is my chance to kind of edit that and give this girl some badunk that she didn't have before. All the girls want it. J-Lo or whatever. What? I don't know where this big butt trend started. I think like those Kardashians and stuff, like a lot of that is fake. I think they're wearing pads or they're like growing it in their social media because, man, some of it doesn't look real at all. And if it is real, it's very unhealthy. Tiny, tiny, tiny little waists. Big, big butts. I don't know. The Victorian era had a similar thing with corsetting. Maybe it relates. I can tell you that guys didn't come up with this stuff. We're not the ones... I guess, actually, now that I think about it, my niece has this Instagram account, and it's pretty bunsy. A lot of it's tricky angles. But she does get a lot of likes. So, from creepy guys, her uncle's age. And that might be what's fueling the fire of this thing. Is these super duper pathetic, lame guys. You know what? She did just turn 18, so I guess now I can not complain about it because she's allowed. It's her life. That was just a couple days ago. Our little one became a legal one. Damn, that sucks. The innocence is over. I don't have to punch anyone out now. That's good, because I don't think I'd fare well in prison. Unless I learn to do tattoos. You know, let's not really think that's going to happen. Maybe I should teach art to people in prison. I am mentoring a newcomer soon. I've been asked to help a newcomer to Canada for a year, get acclimated into the arts here, and someone had put my name forth, which I don't know who, but I feel very fortunate that this atelier is considered a type of place that is very welcoming. This person is a children's book illustrator, so I hope there are some alignments with what I'm able to offer and what they hope to gain. We do have the Writer Society across the way as well. I know them, so maybe there's some of this going on. Now, my drawing doesn't have as much data, so I probably should figure out where some of these muscles go before I shade my little heart's content out, because I might be shading in the wrong place. So let's do a little bit of that next. Okay. This fold here is the sartorius. It's going, so the medial side, I think medial, middle, lateral. I always think like long side of the body, the outside for some reason. Oh, this is getting dull. So inferior vastus medialis goes down and connects to a tendon that goes to the patella. The patella, which is kind of indicated here, let's go like this. At the top of the patella is a tendon that goes up to the quadricep. So let's just get that in there. This curving line here is the vastus lateralis and the vastus medialis, and then we have what do they call it, the T-band on the outside. So that's not, so it's very flat right there, and that attaches to the fascia lata, which is right here, coming down. There's 2 points along this side here. Let's look. He doesn't indicate that in his drawing. Just the vastus lateralis. Okay, and we'll do it dark. Great. I am studying the legs again right now, so this is kind of fresh in my mind. Maybe that's why I'm looking forward to coming down here. I'm still working on the drawing of the bones to attach the muscles to with, I've been busy. Pulled like 3 or 4 12-hour days in a row here at the studio. Working on, let's see there. Whoops. Working on stuff for Metro Graphics, which was due Tuesday morning to be shipped out, and then they didn't even ship it out. So I lost my long weekend to work, but now we're ahead of schedule. Okay. So the rectus femoris, which is this bulge in the center, kind of travels. I kind of have it indicated, but we're going to use directional lines. There is actually a split in the middle of the muscle, and we're going to use the direction of the lines to match the direction of the muscle fibers, sort of, not entirely. We'll turn it a little bit more. What? Whoa, that's brave. That's brave. Wait, you guys can see this, right? Yeah. All right. The across the top of it, going this way, he doesn't really have it indicated. But there's the Richards band. Okay. Sort of. But not really. The vastus medialis is there, so I'll darken that quickly. There you go. The patella is flat and facing us, so these vertical lines. There is a little bit of a brighter spot in his indication right there, so I'm just going to remove a little bit of the lines and draw beneath it again. And we'll use the whole dark light trick. We darken around it to make it seem brighter. From the bottom up, right? From the dark to the light. And I'll do the opposite coming down towards here, just to thicken the dark area in the center, but also give me some feathering down. There we go. I'm feathering away from me again. Mine's a little bit messier. I'm squinting my eyes, and I think what he did was smudge it. Yeah, that looks right. There must be smudging and then drawing lines on top technique, which I did not catch on to before. And then where necessary, a little erasing. Because there is a value on the paper. We'll go with this for now. Might have to be revisited. Alright, it's looking pretty cool. This bottom looks way more anatomically driven to me. You know, less that it looks like a person and more that it looks like a cadaver. Which we like. Because we can learn a lot from it. Although I never got a chance when in school to draw cadavers. Something that I'm still trying to pursue. I actually thought I'll just go to U of C and just take one medical class if I have to. And then all this SHIT hit the fan. pencil needs a good sharpen right about now. This little mound here, there's a fatty pad and this triangle here where it becomes really dark. Ah, no! It's tibial tuberosity. It's that bony kind of triangle in the front. Okay. Draw the calf. I just love human anatomy. Cannot help it. Right now I'm just like, I'm smiling on the inside. Like, this is so fun to draw. The medial malleolus, the lateral malleolus, right? Hard edge. I like to use the point, although this pencil isn't that pointy. Once again, back to the hard edge, softer and rounder on the way up. The soleus. Whoa, does he indicate that? And it folds a little bit here. Let me show you here if I can. Because it becomes the peroneus brevis and the peroneus longus. So, you know, there should be a little, it's not one long, like C-shaped line. We want to have a little bit of divot, and actually probably two. One down at the bottom. Uh-oh. My phone is ringing. So this is the tendon going across, and then your extensors are indicated crossing through, kind of, not really, but there's one. Okay. I hope I'm not too leaned up for you. I don't know if I can. Need to adjust our view, I think, again. This time by moving the camera down. Aha! That looks pretty good. I'll try to draw like this. It's not the most comfortable position, but my grandma would be happy. My back is very straight right now. Okay, one thing that I see that I'm not doing, that he has done, although I don't know that it's giving an advantage to the shape, is all my directions right now are going vertical, in a way. We still need to get the curvature of the leg. So, like the Marvel character, is it Marvel? Oh my god, Colossus. We want to go across like metal. So I'm going beyond the drawing. I can erase what's outside, but you can see the curvature. Because this helps that whole thing not seem like flat wheat or something, this little bit of line helps indicate that form turning more. Maybe even, well, actually that should be a little bit lighter. Just lighten that up a little bit. Looks a little too light still. I don't know why my phone is going off the hook right now. These people know that I do a live stream. They usually comment at this time. Let's, I'm getting a hard eraser now with more of an edge, not a kneadable eraser, and I'm going up to the edge just to get off those lines that crossed over. I can use my little pencil eraser too. The Wolf's Carbon that I was using also doesn't erase as well as the Conte. It's got a little more wax in it, and it's a little firmer pencil all around. So it's good for the details, but it's a little bit harder to step back from, you know? If you have drawn that and then you're like, oh my god, that's too dark. Well, you're screwed. Or you just darken everything that needs to go even darker. His drawing actually, he did this thing with the lines, and I think he hid it by putting crosshatch behind. We're not doing the crosshatch. We're just drawing the figure. All right, down to this foot. Something else hard. This is a weird angle to work on, but hey, come on. Don't be a pain. Gotta darken this patella. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna get the second leg in. Let me, in time, I will. Let me actually do the important stuff here. And I can leave the feet to my, cause there's not any shading there. Let's do this leg. Okay. Are we in the right field of vision here? Excellent. Okay, so there is a lot of light on this leg, which is nice because there's a little less rendery stuff that I have to do. Just gonna clean it off. Clean it off a little bit. Okay. A little more flat there. Oh, this is way too dull. See how thick that line is getting? That's not what I want right now. Let me sharpen it. As it blunts, it's a blunt instrument right now from all that use. better. Much better. Much better. Okay. So it's very soft. Gracilis here on the inside. I love the hang that he's capturing, because this muscle here is not in a state of flex. It's relaxed. Right? The toes are up. The calf is flexed, but this muscle is hanging. Same for on this side. This muscle is slightly, like the side is more rigid because the leg is held up, pivoting up at the hip. And I'm just using that feathering technique to describe the roundness of this form. I'll soften it a little bit with my finger. We're still allowed to do that. It's not a super smudgy drawing, but I do see some value here. So let's use a light line. Couple cross contours. I'll soften it with my finger. That's respectable. Still with the cross contour. Let's go find the patella, because there is that need. I think I'm fairly close here. My drawing was a little bit off in this area, so I'm having to find it. I mean, for the most part, if you watch last week's video, you'll see the male was dead on accurate. I think I remember the arm was a little off on his. Her arm was quite a bit off. And that might have set me off to the right, is that I was already doing things a little off. Once you start going down that track, it's hard to get off. Off? How many times did I say off? Okay, so this might still be just an approximation of the shape and its placement, but if it fools it, it's the time. The time is ticking. In fact, it would be really good for me to know how long this drawing takes so that I can recreate something of the same value of time and quality. I'm going to say 3 hours today, an hour and a half last time. So to be fair to myself, 6 hours to do a drawing of this level. Or 2 sessions, 2 full sessions. Because this isn't going to be exactly where I want it to be. The bottom of the patella, it's not completely flat, it curves back. A little bit. It's like a knob that sticks out at the top front first. Oh, it's so nice to have a sharpened pencil. Maybe I can hire a part-time pencil sharpener for myself. I miss Denise. Denise used to sharpen my pencils for me for practice. And she's a medical illustrator, so the level of her drawing matches the level of her sharpening skills. Okay, so there's a couple, well, I might have made the leg too wide here. But just like we saw on the other side, we want to see that calf muscle, the soleus. And then there's a ridge. So this is like foreground, background stuff to the, what is it, peroneus longus, which is this one. And then one more forward would be the peroneus brevis, which is the lower one. And all of these control your toes. And like the forearm, the sorry, I'm not even looking at the picture right now. Am I completely out to lunch here? Let's see. Haha. That's a question of drawing what you know and not what you see, but I do see that there is an undulation in his line. Okay. I just want to make sure, come on, that you guys can see me. Okay. Am I better? Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about there. I'm sorry that I was probably off camera for that. And then, of course, same thing as before. Malleolus. Outside, long side of the body, longus. I think my ankle might be too wide. Inside of the body, medialis. On the inside of the leg here is your flexor digitorum longus. And the gastrocnemius, which is your calf muscle. We'll just call it the calf muscle, I guess. In fact, he has two indications of line here. I mean, yeah. We'll just put in one of the two. There's the medial meniscus right there. There we go. Kind of a little bump there. All right, so from the patella down the side, we can see the front of the tibial tuberosity, and there's 2 points in here, tibialis anterior, and what was the other one? The peroneus brevis right here. So we need to draw shadow shape there, coming down. The rest gets reflected light, right? Cast shadow. And I'm going to draw the cross contour as well. See, it's a little more straight at the bottom and a little more curved up here at the top. I went a little too high on the right side there, but I just need some value down there, really. I got Backstreet Boys stuck in my head right now. Tell me why. Alright, so I'm just squinting my eyes here and just trying to get the values now, not the line direction yet. Although I got a lot of it. Because I'm not looking at the big image, I'm looking at this tiny little one. So let me look at the big one now. Okay. The gastrocnemius, the calf muscle is going this direction. So I'm pressing a little bit harder, trying to just get some directional lines. Patella. It's almost like it's going to emphasize this direction of the leg. Some of the information in there. Down the front, down the medial surface of the tibia. So this angle, right? Interesting. Whoops, I drew that a little dark. All right, let's also draw his feet. How are we for time? Oh yeah. We're fine. I do need to sharpen this pencil though. It is not, ow, it's not gonna work. I just slammed my head on the camera. The camera was right over my head today. The light is coming in the studio beautifully. I love this time of year. Oh man. Just eat that pencil. Perfect. Oh, okay. This is the tip, ladies. What the hell? Wow. This pencil's breaking in the machine. Alright. We're getting there. There are things I don't like about this drawing. Not Sabin's, mine. I see them now. I see them. I see those things I don't like. But I got a nice sharper pencil, so I can scratch in some lines here. Alright, so try to draw the feet here. The feet here are angular. Very stylized. I might be doing the wrong sizes and stuff, but I just drew a wedge originally, so I just gotta deal with that and just do kind of a straight ahead drawing thing here. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on. My nail's not in a great place, but kind of like a front tendon. Tendon of the tibialis anterior. Not that it matters. Anterior being the top, superior being underneath. In this case. In my anatomy classes, I give the students a drawing of the body with all the cross sections to explain those terms. It takes a little while to get used to. There's tricks. Obviously, everything has tricks. Just like I was saying, like medial, middle of the body. It's not all that easy to remember though. Like when something is in supination or pronation, it depends not the location of the muscle, but whether or not one muscle is extending and the other muscle is contracting, and it has to do coming towards the origin or going away from it, or when things are closer to the heart. You know, that your terminology changes. But, you know, for medical reasons, it totally is useful. That also has a lot to do with functions. So in my classes too, I teach the joints, not those joints. Waka waka. So there's actually tone here. I'm just going to add it by rubbing with my finger and erasing. We could do a side-by-side at the end of this too if needed. Feel like we did pretty good last time with that. But this time it's copy rendering, so it's not really about what I can show on the screen as proportions and stuff. I guess we could kind of look at the difference in techniques and line direction maybe. I'm just copying, so it's not like there's a lot. That I could go on. My feet suck compared to his feet. Seriously, not good. My horoscope says don't point out your weaknesses though, because there are none. I guess that's probably, I mean, it's humbling to be like honest, and the New Agers are always like, don't say it that way or it'll come true. It's like, but self-reflection is pretty useful. I hated that about the hippie friends that always are telling you how to live. And then if you're like, well, you know, have a little bit of judgment of yourself or use a negative term, they jump on you for that when most of the time they're doing that, you know? It's like, oh, so the rules don't apply to you, but it's my semantics are controlling my entire reality. Yeah, I got it. I got it. I mean, there's some truth to the way you talk to yourself, but I mean, I'm brutal to myself. But also, that's how you get better. You gotta just take your hits. And then hopefully have the strength to get better at something that you really want. Okay, slight tendons coming out of each toe. Wait, can you even see this? I'm looking at I have to switch screens when I look at the reference. And to do that, I need 3 fingers. Okay, that whole time. Damn it. Sorry. It's hard to hold the board like this. It's horizontal right now. Where I'm drawing so I'm doing lines of the tendons which go directly over the center of the toes. These toes can be darker. They're so far down from that light. Okay. I was hearing weird sounds in here, but I realize now that it's the birds. The sound kind of reflects off the back wall here. Geez, I don't know if that's in the right place either. Right through the malleolus? I don't think so. So my foot here got a little skinny, I think. If I take a measure. Yeah. I'll just add line thickness to the outside. It's not a perfect solution, but that's what drawing straight ahead can do for you. Mess it up. No one's gonna look at the feet, right? Because they're gross. Ah, pencil broke. Okay. Look at where we're at. Oh my god, 8:51. There are little bits and places that I would like to keep going. But time is of the essence. And we're almost done for time. I want to go home and read in the bathtub. It's been a long couple days. And I'm trying to finish a book. Okay. So I'm going to stop there. Let's zoom it out and take a look. Can always go back to this next week, right? That's my plan. Shall we to the big screen? Let's do it. Then you can see my pretty face. And I know that's what we need. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Let's look at this drawing by turning the camera up. Whoa! All right. I need to load the picture up. Ophelia Odyssey, Ringmaster, thank you here for your kind comments. Wait, what's going on? There. I'm having issues opening it. So, let's shrink. Ah, there it is. So the position is pretty close. Wow, now that I see it like this, I don't know if I did a good job at all. Damn. All right. Truth time. What the world needs now. Let's get equipped. I'm gonna step back. Hey, by the way, that's whose hands you've seen the whole time. Let's cover this guy. We don't need him. I wonder if that's going to ruin the tea. And then the before drawing. Aha! The before drawing. Let's see how that looks to you. Oh, it's off. Okay, so a needle pulling thread. Ah. Alright, hey! That's the original that I was drawing from. The lines that I used, that's a lot harsher than what we see there. The angle's pretty good. This could be a little bit darker. And I might be overly defined here. Although I did make, the darks darker. I like it so far. I feel like another hour or rolling kneadable eraser over it and lightening it. This really does look like an anatomical drawing to me. It's more so about the direction of the fibers of the muscles than it is about the cross contour on the form, like on this one. The muscle fibers go this way, but here they're shaded this way. The muscle fibers go this way, pretty much. There's not a lot of cross shading going on there. But going from that session in the first 3 sittings, and at the tracing I had shoved it over, which reminded me that when I retraced the outline, to shift that. But by drawing first and tracing it, or drawing and charcoaling the back, it gives you another chance to refine. So half of that, half the session, this extra work, one whole session, and our reference, can intensify things. There might be some smudging that I can do too, and sitting and darkening some areas, but we're not done yet. Actually, I see an area right now that I want to touch with a pencil. I don't like what happened right there. So actually, this is fun to draw standing up. I spent a lot of time drawing at the easel and then backing up. It's not great for this, you would just see my back all the time. So, next week, we'll do this, dude. There's the simplification. And we'll get them to look closer to this. And we can talk about all the interesting things that happened on the very complex back. There's not a lot actually at the back of the legs. Bicep femoris. We can talk more about that calf split, that different heads. But yeah, feels like Friday. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you do have any comments or want me to do anything different in future episodes, I'm asking you because you're here right now watching. And there's lots of things we can learn and do, but I want you to keep coming back all summer, even though it's nice outside, until we can open the studio, that is. So for now, like, share, comment, subscribe, send a link to your friends. What else do you say on these things? I put a hat on just so I can say good night.